Tell me about that whole vegan push, because it's getting a little backlash, because for a while it was like, yeah, it's the vegan burger and I'm saving the environment and I'm getting to this, and it was very trendy for a while.
Right.
But like, is that continuing, or are sales coming down and are people kind of not buying into that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think, right now there's been so much hype for this stuff, but the reality is right now these, alternative plant-based burgers and whatnot represent about 1.5% to 2% of the market, the protein market. So it's still very, very tiny. Okay. And as hard as they've been pushing, they seem to have hit their ceiling. Their sales are not going up. They're not hitting their projections. They're basically selling this stuff at a loss right now. They're still in the, still very much in the red. And so people have realized, I think most people have realized, this is just processed garbage. Even Greer would say this is not really good food for us. And so that's one of the sticking points. So the next thing they're going to work on are precision fermentation, where they take different microbes and they ferment things and make these specialized proteins, and they're going to stick that in processed food too. Or they're going to do cell culture meat, which is questionably not even possible. So there's, we're not done with this. We're going to continue to see this. There's going to be a huge push. Like I said, they want to, within the next 15 years, they want to capture about 20% of the global meat market, which is again $300 billion.
Wow. Will they do it? Probably not. Who knows?
I think the optimistic side of me thinks there's going to be a market for that. Some people are going to buy into it. You're going to have people that, for whatever reason, think they're saving the environment or want to go vegan, or they're ethically aligned. They're going to be there. They're going to have some market. Are they going to completely replace the actual real stuff? I don't know. That's a $1.5 trillion market now. There's a lot of people. There's 1 billion people on the planet that are in that market. That are producing that food, and so hard to say. It depends on if we believe this climate change narrative that we've got to do everything we possibly can to save the planet, and we think that culling all these cows is the right answer, which is not, clearly not.
You mentioned Sadiq Khan, my former opponent as mayor of London, and he's from the Labour Party here, which if you're in the States is kind of the equivalent of the Democrats. And I guess my question to you is that we find with these maybe political or ideological movements, you kind of have a team, right? So if you're a Democrat or a Labour Party, you're kind of supposedly pro-environment, whatever that means. You might be pro-vegan, you might be pro-rights for certain groups.
Right.
And I guess my question for you is that do these groups pull in all sorts of attitudes into the group to where it's hard to get out of that? So if I'm left-leaning in my politics, do I all of a sudden then buy into the environment? Do I get surrounded by vegans? And do you see that as an issue where you might not have a choice for what team you're on and the ideology you have?
Right. Yeah, there's definitely, in the nutrition, I've never been political.
And vaccines and masks go with that as well, right?
It's all rolled in there together. And you definitely see, unfortunately, with nutrition, because I think human nutrition, that should be apolitical. We're human beings, we're all the same species. We basically have, more or less the same needs, but we definitely see...
It's not that way, is it?
Well, it doesn't seem to be, but there is definitely a political narrative when it comes to nutrition, and it all lumps together. We see that if you eat meat, well, we've seen articles talking about if you're into fitness, you want to be strong, that's right wing. That's neo-Nazism. They're sort of conflating wanting to be physically fit as somehow,
toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity or something like that. So it's kind of crazy.
It's getting a little crazy, especially in the States these days, with some of the extremes of these things going on. What's social media like for you? And what are the limits? Because, we've seen people getting banned for...
Right, yeah. So earlier this year, during the pandemic, I was talking, I'm very much, as a surgeon, I took thousands of people to the operating room, and I always wanted to make sure they had informed consent. And I felt that during the pandemic, informed consent wasn't being adequately conveyed to the people that were making decisions. And so I was speaking up against that. That sort of attitude had me shadow banned, suspended from YouTube several times, to a point where I was like, I just can't talk about this stuff anymore. So there's some self-censorship going on there, and it's unfortunate. I think it's, honestly, I think it's disgusting that you have to self-censor and you can't speak freely of what you want to talk about, because that's how we learn. That's how the best ideas go to the top, right? When you all get to participate in this. My social media generally is very positive. I get like I said, I literally get hundreds of people every week telling me, you've changed my life, I'm so much better, I'm off all these medications, on and on and on, I support what you do. A very small minority is people, mad vegans that would say you're evil and awful and I hope you die or something like that, that type of stuff. So generally it's pretty positive for the most part.
Do you ever get threats and death threats and vegans step into you, or not really?
A few. I've had a few, and it's usually it's usually comedy. I haven't taken any of them very seriously, and I don't know. Maybe I should, but I've never in my life, and you're probably the same way. I've never had somebody confront me in real life and come up to me and say. I've had a lot of it online, but never in real life. Usually in real life, everybody's been very pleasant. It's, got to shake their hands. I'm very affable and easy to talk to, and so be interested.
Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, learning DeFi, got to do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I am just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
It's also been like a big learning experience for me, not just in the crypto space, but just an overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you got to pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.